Fear does not always mean stop. Sometimes it means you are standing at the edge of something that matters, something that could change you if you let it. And the real danger is not failure, but choosing a life shaped around avoiding what scares you. Hi, guys, and welcome back to our channel. In today's conversation, we're going to talk about what it means to sit with fear, to acknowledge it, to embrace its presence without letting it control you, and how learning to move forward despite it can completely change the direction of your life. But before that, I just want to take a quick moment to share something with you. I recently released a book called The Day I Grew Flowers Out of My Face. It's a deeply personal and reflective piece about pain, growth, and learning how to exist with the parts of yourself you once wanted to hide. If today's topic resonates with you, I truly believe this book will speak to you in a deeper way. It's available on Gumroad and Amazon as an ebook and paperback, and if you prefer something you can hold on to, the hardcover version is exclusively available on Amazon. All right, let's get into it. Fear does not always mean stop. Sometimes it means you are standing at the edge of something that matters, something that could change you if you let it. And the real danger is not failure, but choosing a life shaped around avoiding what scares you. Because most people don't realize how much of their life is built around avoidance. Not intentional avoidance, not something they consciously decide, but subtle choices, quiet decisions, moments where they choose comfort over uncertainty, familiarity over possibility, safety over growth. And those choices don't feel like avoidance in the moment. They feel like protection. They feel like being responsible, being careful, being realistic. But over time, those small choices start to shape something bigger. A life that feels safe but limited, predictable but unfulfilling. And the common thread behind all of it is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough, fear of stepping into something unknown and not knowing how it will turn out. And instead of learning how to face that fear, we learn how to work around it. We build routines that keep us comfortable. We stay in environments that don't challenge us. We convince ourselves that we're fine where we are, even when a part of us knows we want more. Because facing fear feels harder than staying the same. But what people don't talk about is that staying the same has its own cost. It costs you opportunities you never take, experiences you never allow yourself to have, versions of yourself that you never get to meet. And that cost adds up over time. It shows up in quiet dissatisfaction, in the feeling that something is missing even when everything looks okay on the surface, in the question that lingers in the back of your mind, asking, "What if I tried?" And that question doesn't go away, because deep down, you know that fear has been making decisions for you. And that's the real issue. Not that fear exists, but that it's in control. Because fear itself is not the enemy. It's a natural response. It's your mind trying to protect you from uncertainty. But the problem is, your mind cannot always tell the difference between danger and growth. It reacts the same way to both. So the same fear you feel when you're in actual danger is the fear you feel when you're about to do something new, something meaningful, something that could move your life forward. And if you treat all fear the same way, you end up avoiding both. You avoid danger, which makes sense, but you also avoid growth, which keeps you stuck. That's why learning to sit with fear is so important, because sitting with fear creates space between what you feel and what you do. Instead of reacting immediately, instead of pulling away the moment fear shows up, you pause, you notice it, you let it exist without rushing to escape it. And that pause changes everything, because in that moment, you realize something. Fear is present, but it doesn't have to decide your next move. You can feel afraid and still act. You can feel uncertain and still take a step forward. You can feel unprepared and still try. And that's a powerful shift, because it means you're no longer waiting for fear to disappear before you live your life. You're learning how to live with it. And the more you do that, the more your relationship with fear changes. It stops feeling like a barrier and starts feeling like a signal. a signal that you're stepping into something unfamiliar, a signal that you're expanding beyond what you've known, a signal that you're growing. And growth is rarely comfortable. It's messy, it's uncertain, it doesn't come with guarantees, but it's necessary. Because without it, you stay in the same place. And staying in the same place, especially when you know you want more, can become its own kind of discomfort. The kind that builds slowly, the kind that makes you feel restless, the kind that reminds you that you're capable of something different, even if you haven't acted on it yet. And that's where courage comes in. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move despite it, to take a step even when your mind is filled with doubts, to try even when the outcome is uncertain, to show up even when you don't feel ready. Because waiting to feel ready is another form of avoidance. There will always be a reason to wait. Another doubt, another what if, another excuse that feels valid in the moment. But if you keep waiting, you stay where you are. And if where you are doesn't feel right, then waiting is not helping you. It's holding you back. So maybe the goal is not to eliminate fear. Maybe the goal is to become someone who can carry it, someone who can feel it, acknowledge it, understand it, and still choose to move forward. Because fear will always be there in some form, but it doesn't have to define your limits. It doesn't have to dictate your life. You get to decide how much power it has. And that decision is made in small moments, in the choice to speak when you're nervous, in the choice to try when you're unsure, in the choice to step forward when everything in you wants to stay where it's safe. Those moments may seem small, but they build something bigger. They build trust in yourself. They build resilience. They build a version of you that knows you are capable of more than you once believed. And that version of you changes everything. Because once you realize that you can act despite fear, you stop seeing fear as something that stops you. You start seeing it as something that walks with you, but does not lead. So if you're facing something right now that scares you, something you've been avoiding, something you keep telling yourself you'll do later, I want you to remember this. Fear does not always mean you shouldn't do it. Sometimes it means it matters. Sometimes it means it's worth the risk. Sometimes it means you're standing right in front of a version of your life that you haven't experienced yet. And the only thing between you and that version is your willingness to take a step. You don't need to feel fearless. You don't need to feel completely ready. You just need to stop waiting for fear to disappear. Let it be there. Sit with it. And move anyway. Because on the other side of that decision is not just a different outcome, but a different version of you. One that knows that fear is not something to run from, but something to walk through. And that realization can change everything. If this conversation resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more reflections like this. It really helps this space grow and reach more people who might need it. And before you go, I want to ask you something. What is one thought about yourself that you've been believing for a long time that might not actually be true? Take a moment to reflect on it, and if you feel comfortable, share it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.